Wet locations, according to the National Electrical Code, are areas subject to saturation with water or other liquids, examples being swimming pools or areas exposed to rainfall. Damp locations are areas subject to only occasional moisture or condensation, like basements or bathrooms. SO, which stands for Service/Overhead Wiring Cord, is designed for outdoor use and is rated for wet locations. Its construction includes an outer jacket that protects the conductors from moisture and sunlight. Now, consider a scenario where a SOW cord is running through a puddle of water. This is a violation of the National Electrical Code. While a SOW cord is rated for wet locations, it's not intended for full submersion. The puddle creates a situation where the cord is completely submerged, exposing the conductors to water and creating a potential hazard. For light fixtures, the wet designation indicates suitability for outdoor use, meaning they can withstand exposure to moisture. However, this doesn't mean they are rated for full submersion. Light fixtures should never be installed where they might be submerged in water. The NEC provides classifications for wire and other electrical components based on their intended use, and it's important to understand that these classifications have specific limitations. Wet-rated components aren't suitable for full submersion unless specifically designed for that purpose. In the aforementioned puddle situation, the SOW cord placement is a violation that should be corrected promptly to ensure safety. Regarding the water well pump wire, it's essential to verify its specific ratings and intended use. If it lacks an outer jacket and is not specifically designed for well applications, it may not be suitable for direct burial or submersion in water wells, even if it has a W designation. Always refer to the manufacturer's specifications and local codes for proper installation guidelines. Now let's explore some additional details and considerations regarding wet locations and electrical installations. The National Electrical Code provides guidance, and it's crucial to consult the latest edition for the most up-to-date requirements. Firstly, conductors installed in wet locations must be suitable for such environments. This typically means they must have insulation approved for wet locations, such as those marked with the suffix W in their designation, such as THWN or XHHW. These conductors are designed to resist moisture absorption and degradation, ensuring reliable performance and preventing electrical hazards. Secondly, raceways and enclosures used in wet locations must also be approved for such use. This means they must be made of materials that are resistant to corrosion and water ingress, such as PVC or stainless steel. Additionally, they must be properly sealed to prevent water from entering and accumulating inside. Thirdly, electrical equipment installed in wet locations, such as lighting fixtures, switches, and receptacles, must be listed and labeled for wet locations. This indicates that they have been tested and found to be suitable for exposure to moisture and water. These devices typically have features such as watertight seals, corrosion-resistant materials, and internal drainage to prevent water from accumulating inside. Fourthly, it's important to consider the specific requirements for underground wiring in wet locations. Direct burial cables must be specifically listed for direct burial and wet locations. They must be installed at the proper depth and with appropriate backfill to protect them from physical damage and moisture. Additionally, underground conduits must be sealed to prevent water from entering and accumulating inside. Fifthly, when installing electrical equipment near bodies of water, such as swimming pools, hot tubs, and fountains, it's crucial to follow the specific requirements outlined in Article 680 of the National Electrical Code. This article provides detailed guidance on bonding, grounding, and GFCI protection to minimize the risk of electrical shock hazards. Sixthly, it's essential to consider the effects of condensation in wet locations. Condensation can occur when warm, moist air comes into contact with cooler surfaces, such as electrical enclosures or equipment. This condensation can lead to corrosion, insulation breakdown, and other electrical problems. To mitigate these effects, it's important to provide adequate ventilation and drainage, and to use materials that are resistant to corrosion. Seventhly, when working with SOW cord in wet locations, it's crucial to inspect it regularly for signs of damage or wear. SOW cord is designed to be flexible and durable, but is not impervious to damage. Nicks, cuts, or abrasions in the outer jacket can compromise its moisture resistance and create a potential electrical hazard. If any damage is found, the cord should be replaced immediately. Eighthly, it's important to avoid creating low spots where water can accumulate around electrical equipment or wiring. Water can accelerate corrosion and insulation breakdown, increasing the risk of electrical hazards. If low spots are unavoidable, they should be properly drained to prevent water from accumulating. Ninthly, when installing electrical equipment in wet locations, it's crucial to follow the manufacturer's instructions and local codes. These guidelines provide specific requirements for installation, grounding, bonding, and protection to ensure safety and compliance. Tenthly, it's important to remember that the wet designation for electrical equipment only indicates that it's suitable for exposure to moisture and water. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's suitable for full submersion. Unless specifically designed and rated for submersion, electrical equipment should never be installed where it may be submerged in water. The National Electrical Code's definition of a wet location is a location in which water or other liquids may drip, splash, or flow on or against electrical equipment. This includes areas that are subject to saturation with water or other liquids such as vehicle washing areas, unprotected areas exposed to weather, and similar locations. Understanding the differences between various types of locations is very important for safety reasons. Here are a few location types. Firstly, dry locations. These are locations not normally subject to dampness or wetness. A location classified as dry may be temporarily subject to dampness or wetness, as in the interior of a building under construction. Secondly, damp locations. These are locations that are protected from weather and not subject to saturation with water or other liquids but subject to moderate degrees of moisture. Examples of such locations include partially protected locations under canopies, marquees, roofed open porches, and like locations, and interior locations subject to moderate degrees of moisture, such as some basements, some barns, and some cold storage warehouses. Thirdly, wet locations. These are locations subject to saturation with water or other liquids. Examples of such locations include vehicle washing areas, unprotected areas exposed to weather, and similar locations. When selecting and installing electrical equipment in wet locations, you must consider several factors to ensure safety and reliability. Firstly, you need to select equipment that is specifically listed and labeled for wet locations. This equipment is designed and tested to withstand the effects of moisture and water and is less likely to cause electrical shocks or fires. Secondly, you must ensure that all connections are properly sealed to prevent water from entering the equipment. This can be done by using watertight connectors, sealing compounds, or other approved methods. Thirdly, you need to protect the equipment from physical damage. This can be done by installing it in a protected location or by using a suitable enclosure. There are several types of wiring methods that are suitable for use in wet locations. These include, firstly, rigid metal conduit. This is a very durable wiring method that provides excellent protection against physical damage and moisture. Secondly, intermediate metal conduit. This is a less expensive alternative to rigid metal conduit that still provides good protection. Thirdly, electrical metallic tubing. This is a lightweight wiring method that is easy to install. However, it is not as durable as rigid metal conduit or intermediate metal conduit. Fourthly, non-metallic conduit. This is a type of plastic conduit that is resistant to moisture and corrosion. Fifthly, cable. Cable can be used in wet locations if it is specifically listed and labeled for such use. There are also several types of equipment that are specifically designed for use in wet locations. These include, firstly, wet location lighting fixtures. These fixtures are designed to withstand the effects of moisture and water and are less likely to cause electrical shocks or fires. Secondly, wet location receptacles. These receptacles are designed to prevent water from entering the receptacle and causing a short circuit. Thirdly, wet location switches. These switches are designed to prevent water from entering the switch and causing a malfunction. Here are some additional safety tips for working with electricity in wet locations. Firstly, always disconnect the power before working on any electrical equipment. Secondly, never work on electrical equipment when you are wet or standing in water. Thirdly, use caution when working near water. Fourthly, if you are not comfortable working with electricity, call a qualified electrician. Submersible cable, often used in well pumps, is designed for continuous submersion. It's constructed with materials that resist water absorption and degradation, ensuring long-term reliability and safety. This type of cable undergoes rigorous testing to ensure it can withstand the harsh conditions found in well environments. Wet locations, damp locations, and dry locations all have different requirements for electrical safety. The NEC defines these locations and provides specific guidelines for selecting and installing electrical equipment in each type of environment. This ensures that electrical systems are safe and reliable, regardless of the surrounding conditions. The appropriate selection and installation of electrical equipment in wet locations are critical for preventing electrical hazards. By following the NEC guidelines and using listed and labeled equipment, you can minimize the risk of electrical shock, fires, and other accidents. Regular inspections and maintenance are also essential for ensuring the continued safety of electrical systems in wet locations. SOW cord, while suitable for wet locations, is not designed for continuous submersion. Continuous submersion can lead to degradation of the cord's insulation and eventual failure. This can create a dangerous situation, potentially causing electrical shock or fire. Therefore, it's essential to avoid using SOW cord in applications where it will be continuously submerged in water. Instead, use submersible cable or other approved wiring methods. When installing electrical equipment in wet locations, it's essential to consider the potential for corrosion. Moisture can accelerate the corrosion of metal components, leading to equipment failure and electrical hazards. To prevent corrosion, use materials that are resistant to corrosion, such as stainless steel or PVC. Additionally, apply corrosion-resistant coatings to metal components. Furthermore, ensure that all connections are properly sealed to prevent moisture from entering the equipment. Ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, are essential safety devices that protect against electrical shock in wet locations. GFCIs monitor the current flowing through a circuit and quickly interrupt the power if a ground fault is detected. This can prevent serious injury or death from electrical shock. GFCIs should be installed in all wet locations, including bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. Electrical enclosures in wet locations must be designed to protect the equipment from moisture and water. These enclosures typically have features such as watertight seals, corrosion-resistant materials, and internal drainage. The NEC specifies the requirements for electrical enclosures in wet locations to ensure that they provide adequate protection. Lighting fixtures in wet locations must be specifically designed for such use. These fixtures typically have features such as watertight seals, corrosion-resistant materials, and enclosed and gasketed lenses. Wet location lighting fixtures are designed to withstand the effects of moisture and water and are less likely to cause electrical shocks or fires. The NEC provides detailed guidelines for the installation of lighting fixtures in wet locations. When working with electricity in wet locations, it's essential to follow all safety precautions. Firstly, always disconnect the power before working on any electrical equipment. Secondly, never work on electrical equipment when you are wet or standing in water. Thirdly, use caution when working near water. Fourthly, if you are not comfortable working with electricity, call a qualified electrician. These safety precautions can help prevent electrical shocks, fires, and other accidents. The NEC is a comprehensive set of standards that provides guidance for the safe installation of electrical systems. It's essential to consult the NEC when designing and installing electrical systems in wet locations to ensure that they meet all safety requirements. Local codes may also have additional requirements that must be followed. The information presented here is intended for general guidance only and should not be considered a substitute for professional advice. Always consult with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer before undertaking any electrical work. By following these guidelines and taking appropriate safety precautions, you can ensure the safe and reliable operation of electrical systems in wet locations. Remember that electricity and water can be a dangerous combination, so it's essential to be careful and follow all safety rules. When in doubt, always consult with a qualified professional. The selection of wire for submersible pump applications needs a cable with a specific water rating. This is typically identified as submersible pump cable. The cable is designed to withstand constant immersion in water without degrading. Regular THHN wire isn't rated for this usage, as continuous water exposure will deteriorate its insulation, creating a shock hazard and potential failure. Its construction features a tough outer jacket that is highly water resistant and protects the conductors. It's essential to use cable designed specifically for submersible pumps in these installations. This cable will have ratings such as UL wet location and be specifically labeled for submersible pump usage. This ensures the cable can withstand the rigors of being submerged in water for extended periods. Proper grounding and bonding are also critical in wet locations to minimize shock hazards. All metallic parts of electrical equipment should be properly grounded and bonded to create a low impedance path for fault currents. This helps to ensure that GFCIs will function properly and that electrical shocks are less likely to occur. The NEC provides detailed requirements for grounding and bonding in wet locations. The grounding system needs to be connected to a grounding electrode, such as a ground rod or a metal water pipe. The bonding system connects all metallic parts of the electrical system together, including conduits, enclosures, and equipment. This creates a continuous path for fault currents to flow back to the source, tripping the circuit breaker or fuse and energizing the circuit. Surge protection is also important in wet locations, especially in areas prone to lightning strikes. Surge protective devices, or SPDs, can help protect sensitive electronic equipment from damage caused by voltage surges. SPD should be installed at the service entrance and at any sub-panels that serve wet locations. Regular maintenance is essential for ensuring the continued safety of electrical systems in wet locations. Electrical equipment should be inspected regularly for signs of damage, corrosion, or wear. Any damaged equipment should be repaired or replaced immediately. Additionally, GFCIs should be tested monthly to ensure that they are functioning properly. The frequency of inspections will depend on the specific environment and the type of equipment installed. A qualified electrician can perform these inspections and provide recommendations for maintenance. The color coding of wires is important for identifying different conductors and ensuring proper wiring. The NEC specifies the color coding for different types of wires, including hot wires, neutral wires, and ground wires. Following the proper color coding can help prevent wiring errors and ensure the safety of the electrical system. The NEC also specifies the requirements for wire markings, including the wire size, type, and voltage rating. These markings must be visible and legible so that electricians can easily identify the wire and ensure that it is used properly. Using the wrong size or type of wire can create a fire hazard. Proper overcurrent protection is also essential for protecting electrical systems in wet locations. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, are designed to interrupt the flow of current if it exceeds the safe limit. This helps to prevent overheating and damage to the wiring and equipment. The size of the overcurrent protection device must be properly matched to the size of the wire. Using an oversized overcurrent protection device can allow too much current to flow through the wire, causing it to overheat and potentially start a fire. The location of electrical equipment in wet locations is also important. The electrical equipment should be located in areas where it is less likely to be exposed to water or moisture. For example, electrical panels should be located above the floodplain and away from areas where water can accumulate. Lighting fixtures should be installed so that they are not directly exposed to rain or snow. The use of weatherproof enclosures can help protect electrical equipment from the elements. The training and qualifications of electricians are essential for ensuring the safe installation of electrical systems in wet locations. Electricians should be properly trained and licensed to perform electrical work. They should also be familiar with the NEC and local codes. Hiring a qualified electrician can help ensure that the electrical system is installed correctly and safely. Permits and inspections are required for many electrical installations in wet locations. Electrical permits are required to ensure that the work is performed according to code. Electrical inspections are performed by local authorities to verify that the installation meets the requirements of the NEC and local codes. Obtaining the proper permits and inspections can help ensure that the electrical system is safe and compliant.